Here we have frame built with aluminum extrusions. That is the exact dimensions of the device. So it's 27 inches tall, 24 inches deep, and 26 inches wide. We have here custom 3D printed brackets that make this the exact shape of the device, the angles and everything included. This does not necessarily have to be made out of these aluminum extrusions, but just having a frame that's the exact size of the device is useful in the final assembly of the device. So the panel has now been draped over the frame. So the frame will actually be used to glue the side panels onto the main panel. These flaps will be bent down and thermoformed so that they lay flat on the frame.
So now it's time to thermoform these edges of our main panel. We're going to use a little bit of heat to bend these flaps so that they lie flat, so that we can glue the sides with it in this vertical configuration. So it's probably possible to assemble it just like this. So if you don't have the ability to thermoform these, it's just going to be a little bit harder. You're going to probably want to flip the frame on its side and then lay weights on this when you glue it to hold it down. So I've zoomed in on the top face so that you can get a really good view of the thermoforming process. So we want to make sure that it's right up to the edge, and just because of the manufacturing process being manual, most likely some of your edges will be a little bit off. So when it comes time to thermoform those edges, make sure that you readjust the frame so that it's right in the correct alignment. Now, to start, we're going to use our heat gun that we've been using, set to 640 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're just going to blast a little bit of air on the top and bottom of this piece to heat it up just a little bit, enough so that it's nice and flexible. Okay, so that wasn't enough to melt it or anything, but it's just enough to make it really easy to fold this edge right under. So this is the key part here. You're going to fold it under and make sure that crease is right even with the edge of your frame element. And now all we're going to do is run our heat gun along that edge and let it heat up, and you'll start to see it soften a little bit, and it only takes a few seconds, and then you'll be able to pull that flap out and it'll make a nice 90-degree angle. You'll notice that I applied a little bit of pressure during that process, which sometimes isn't necessary. But you can see once I flip that out, it no longer sticks out. It makes a nice 90-degree angle on the edge, and this will be a beautiful surface for us to glue the side panel to. Now, just repeat the thermoforming process for all of the other edges. I've shown you one. It's exactly the same for all of them. Okay, so we've completed the thermoforming process, and you can see we have these nice thermoformed flaps here. These will be the faces that we glue the side panels to in just a moment.
So now that we've finished thermoforming the main panel, it's time to prepare the side panel to be glued onto the main panel. So the first step is to temporarily secure the main panel to the aluminum extrusion forming frame. We do this with double-sided tape located here, 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 and here. Once the main panel is secured, then we're ready to put the side panel by using double-sided tape. Now, it's important to place the double-sided tape on as close to the inner corner as possible, so as to maximize the amount of area on the panel that's being glued. It is also important to remember during this process that each of these pieces of tape will need to be removed. So put them in an area that is easy to access, but also maximizes the amount of glue that you're able to put in between the two panels. So we've zoomed in here on the top corner to illustrate the gluing process to be done for the side panel onto the main panel. And then once we have our bead, I'm just going to take the panel here, press it up against and hold it here in place just so the glue will set. All right, that's pretty good. And then you're going to repeat this process for all 4 sides.
So now it's time to remove the device from the form. So here you can see the device immediately after pulling it off of the form. We still have a couple things left to do. We need to remove the tape from the inside of the device, and we also need to install the filter and the filter port. So here you can see some of the double-sided tape that needs to be removed from the inside of the device. So for the tape that's stuck between the pieces of vinyl, using a thin rod to separate the vinyl can be very helpful. And then you can generally peel off the tape. This is a little bit of a laborious process, but it is important because removing the tape does improve the aesthetics of the device. Of course, if you are too busy and don't remove the tape, it's not going to negatively impact the function of the device. And this tape is even rated for food contact, so it's very inert. You're not going to have any problems with it kind of chemically, but it's going to be better if you can remove it if you have time. So here you can see the filter port for the device. Now in this case, there's a couple things we're going to need to do. You can see that the flap that we glued the side panel to actually overlaps with our corner hole here. So we're going to need to re-punch that hole to make sure that we can fasten between both of these. Then we're going to need to get our grate that will go inside, and then the outer filter flange will go on the outside here with the filter inside of the device, of course. So this is the filter that we're using for this application. This is a HEPA filter from Honeywell. These are typically used in air purifiers. Here you can see our filter box with the installed HEPA filter that will be placed on the exterior of the device like this. Additionally, I have the inner grate, you can see. Now this grate is actually important because it has slanted openings in it to help protect the filter from droplets. So as we place this on here, I will then be able to screw it together, and that will be the last thing that we need to do for this device to be ready. And that's it.